Today, I'm going to be designing a new feature for my website, sflproject.com. But first, a quick recap for those of you that are new here. So if you've already seen my old videos, you can use the timestamps in the description to skip to the next section. This video is part of a series where I build a website and try to turn it into a $2,000 a month side hustle in the next 4 months. The website is called South Florida Project. It's a place where tech workers in South Florida can go to stay up to date with local tech events, startups, and tech jobs in the area. I've already built the events and startup pages, so all that's left are the jobs pages, which is what I'll be working on today. Specifically, I'll be designing the UX and UI. So let's just jump in. The whole point of this feature is to help tech workers find jobs. And the best way I can help them do that is by helping them find and apply to as many interesting jobs that they're fit for as possible. But there is another set of users I need to think about, which are the companies that are doing the hiring. After all, if companies aren't happy, they're not going to post their jobs on my page. And the best way that I can help companies is by helping them find the best candidate for the job, which I can do by sending them as many qualified candidates as possible. So those are my two North Stars. Increase the average number of applications per user so that they're more likely to find a good job, and increase the number of applications per job post so companies can take their pick from a lot of applicants. And that's that. Now I know who I'm designing for and what I'm trying to help them do. Now I can start to plan out how visitors will actually use these features from beginning to end. And I can think of two paths they might take. The first path are visitors who are curious if a specific company is hiring. So instead of going to the job board, they might go to the company's profile page. That's one. The second path, and the one that I'm going to start with, are visitors who come to the site specifically to look at all job openings in their field. And since this is one of 3 core features for the whole site, I'm gonna give it its own page, add it to the nav bar, and I'm also gonna go ahead and make it the home page because visitors don't seem to care too much about the startups and events pages anyway. And with all that out of the way, now I'm finally ready to actually start designing. And the very first thing this page is going to need is a header to let people know what they're looking at when the site loads. Next, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this first jobs page should be a list of jobs because it seems to work for every other job board. And it has the added benefit of being really easy to code. But it's worth keeping in mind that there's at least one other option, which is more of a Tinder-like design, where instead of looking through users one by one, you're looking through jobs one by one. That might sound strange, but in my view, if you already filter the search down to your field and your experience level, what's the list for? At that point, you're just navigating back and forth between the list and each individual job. The people at LinkedIn know this because if you go to their jobs page, on desktop at least, they don't make you navigate back and forth between the list and each job. Instead, the list is on the left and the job description appears on the right. And you can open each job without leaving the list. It looks a bit cluttered, but the experience is a lot smoother. And I bet it performs a lot better than, again, navigating back and forth. For now though, I just want to launch something good enough as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna stick with the list. And since I already use a sort of hovering card design in the startups and events pages, I'm gonna make each job a card as well. Now I have to figure out what information I'm gonna fill this page with, which depends on what the user needs in this step of the process. The first thing that comes to mind is a field filter, so you can easily filter for whatever positions you're looking for. Marketing, development, content, whatever. And a lot of these fields have tons of subfields, so ideally you can filter by that as well. But I'm gonna leave that up to the job title for now so I can keep things simple. The next thing that comes to mind is experience level. So I'm gonna pop in a filter for that as well. And the last filter I'm gonna add here is a county filter. South Florida is huge, and not everybody's willing to commute between counties. Just getting in and out of Miami alone can be a nightmare. So I think a county filter makes sense here. Okay, now looking at each job post, one piece of information that I could add here is how many days ago the job post was added. Every job board has this, but unless you have a chance at being one of the first to apply, I don't see why this is so important. So I'm only going to show it if the job post was posted less than 9 days ago. And finally, the last piece of information for this page will be the name and the logo of the company, which aren't super important yet, but this page is looking a bit boring, so this should help. kind of spice things up. Now, I don't know about you, but this doesn't look great to me. Between the header, the navigation, the filters, and the logos, there's just way too much color here. Color is great for attracting the user's attention, which is why you want to use it sparingly. Otherwise, your designs will be very distracted and users won't know where to look or what they're supposed to do next. Also, users don't need to see every filter option available once they've already made a choice. So that's also needlessly distracting. I tried a couple ways to fix this. The first thing I tried was changing the color of selected filters, which didn't really work out. Then I tried using toggle filters, which is what I think I'll eventually end up making, but for now I couldn't figure out the design for the on state. Like, when you actually click on a filter, what does that list of options look like? So I'm still experimenting with that. And it's not crucial that I get this perfect right away. So what I decided for now is I got rid of the county filter, I got rid of the experience filter, and I only left the field filter, which does help make the design less distracting in my opinion. And that's it. That's V1 of the jobs list page. This is what it'll look like when I launch, or very close to it. So now let's move on to the next page, which is the page for each individual job. Now obviously I have nothing to do with the job description, so this will mostly be up to the companies. But I did add a perks and benefits section and a map to show where the offices are at the bottom of the job description. I also added a big apply button that's fixed to the bottom of the screen as you scroll. And I'm not actually hosting the application forms, which means that when someone clicks that apply button, it'll take them to some other website, whatever website the company is using to host their forms. But remember that I want people to find multiple jobs that they're interested in. I don't want them to leave the website after finding one interesting job. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make that link open in a separate window. And that's really it for this path. You know, users go to the jobs list, they find an interesting job, they open it, hopefully apply, hopefully come back to look for more jobs. So now let's go take care of that second path, which will be really quick. It's really just one section on an existing page. Remember that the second path is users who are curious if specific companies are hiring. So what I did here is I added a job opening section to the bottom of each company's profile page. If a user clicks on any of the jobs, it takes them to that job's individual page. And that's it. Those are all the designs that I'll be shipping with this first iteration of the jobs feature. I know I flew through a lot of this work in this video, but this was about 20 to 25 hours of work. The general idea of the design took maybe an hour. I mean, it's a job board. I knew how this version would work, and I knew kind of how it had to look according to the other pages that I've already designed. But what took me a long time, and always takes me a long time, is details like layout, you know, where does this piece go, where does that piece go, the size of the fonts and the logos, and any other images, the spacing between different elements. Just to give you an example, right before recording this video, I spent about 2 hours sort of refining the spacing in the jobs list page because I didn't like how it looked before. But anyway, that's been it for today. So if you want to watch how I build the rest of this project and see how it goes when I put it out there, you can hit the subscribe and like buttons below to support this channel and help me keep making these videos for you.